This is the new look Gold Coast Chargers being led out by the former Kiwi international and Dave Watson. Great round of applause for this new look team as they come out.
I remember still living on the Gold Coast when I was at the South Queensland Crushers.
Sending the ball across there to Sattler. Sattler stands in the tackle, gives it up there to Ellis, and Ellis will score to seal a famous victory for the home side.
I remember at the start of 1996, we got told at the South Queensland Crushers that we weren't going to get paid at all. So we turned up every day to train, and back then it was only part-time. So we'd work all day, go to training at night, turn up and play, and knowing that we weren't going to get paid. So in the end, everyone just said, we've got to find new clubs.
Gold Coast Chargers come up with it.
And here's a try on the right. It comes out for Hurst and they score. He's there, he's lost it, and Oden Ryan has scored for the Chargers.
I remember going to the first game. They played North Sydney Bears at Carrara Stadium.
We are underway with round one action.
I remember going to that game, and again, they were only able to put a team together about 3 or 4 weeks before the NRL kickoff.
Speaking to Bella before the game, he said, well, it's pretty hard to know how we're going to go. We've only been together for 2 weeks, but he said we've got some footy boots and we've got to get out there and give it our best shot.
Yes, and the Gold Coast straight on the attack. A good inside ball to Orford.
Orford's away. He's got a man inside him. He might not need him. Orford going for the corner, gets there.
I remember always thinking it'd be great to go back one day.
Good run, great pass. Over they go. Damien Driscoll scores and a smile goes to Phil Economides.
And it was fortunate enough for me, Phil Economides rang me during 1996 and said, would you like to come home?
Puts a little kick in, Sattler will score!
It was an absolute blessing that he gave me that opportunity to go back and restart again.
Patton slides the ball for Sattler.
Where's Patton? Where's Patton? We were just saying it. Give him one opportunity. Straight through. Skips out of another tackle. Graham Mackay's going to score the 4th try.
It's still to this date one of my most enjoyable years. We're this really good group of young players.
Now he puts in the kick. Plenty of Balmain people there. That could be a try to the Chargers.
It was courage with a capital C.
And held up over the line, and that's a brilliant tackle once again by the Gold Coast Chargers. And an excellent tackle there by the number 16 in Scott Sattler.
Sattler pitched in too.
Yeah, both the big men up front went well, and Sattler and Hurst.
And because we were winning, especially winning at home, we had a lot of the locals were turning up consistently to follow us.
Space here for Goddard. Runs around another. He looks for support. He finds it now in Patton. Patton needs to link up with his outsides. He may not have to. He runs back inside. And Wes Patton scores a glorious try under the posts. Oh,
Wesy Patton. He runs with the ball on the end of his fingertips. He looks everywhere but where he's going.
And we just got in this run where we found it really difficult to lose at times, and the times we did get beaten, it wasn't by much.
go here at Carrara. And it took 2 acts of brilliance from their captain to do it.
Bad luck, Jamie Goddard. It was a great match and went right down to the wire.
We'll keep fighting right to the bell, and that's what the boys do. They never give up.
Martin Bella having a rest, and that's a pretty jazzy haircut. I don't know whether it's been painted on.
Well, I think Martin Bella could be applying for the captain charger job next year.
Bella. And the big fella's had a great first half. Slips the pass to Patton. Patton, left and right. He's
There he
through.
goes.
Where's Patton? Where's Patton? We were just saying it. Give him one opportunity, and the little fella has just opened him up like a can of worms and gone straight through to score the Gold Coast Chargers' 3rd try of this first half.
To go through the season, and then our second last game of the season, we had to beat Manly, who'd won the minor premiership that year by the length of the straight. But we had another 7 days of nervous waiting. But we had some really good players. So Jamie Goddard was one. Damien Driscoll, front row, a really good player. Graham Mackay, who was our captain and also former international. Marcus Bai, who had just arrived from England, and he became a real cult hero on the Gold Coast as well. Preston Campbell was in the juniors there as well. Andrew King.
And diving on the ball is Andrew King, the first points of the game.
Who was our player of the year that year. He was an amazing player. So we had a really good team, coached by a really good guy as well in Phil Economides, who got coach of the year that year. Yeah. The last round of the season, the Crushers had to beat the Western Suburbs Magpies for us to cement a position in the top 8. I remember sitting trying to find a score. The only news that was on the radio that day was Lady Diana has had a car crash. And all of a sudden, you just went cold. And then the scoreline came after, and also the South Queensland Crushers have beaten Western Suburbs Magpies. The Gold Coast Chargers are going to play finals. It also became redundant, the whole finals. But then we had to dust ourselves off and get back to training on Monday, and went down to Parramatta Stadium where the first 2 weeks of finals were played, and we beat Illawarra that night.
Fairly familiar frame, Scott Sattler from the Illawarra line. And then back from O'Reilly, and quick hands finding Patton at his most dangerous, close to the line. A chance for the Chargers, they're over. But still the Chargers in the ascendancy. Mackay's big and he's over the line. The captain is in. Puts a little kick in. Sattler will score. Sattler has put downward pressure on the ball. And it's a try given by David Manson. So they're on the back foot. There's the pass looking for the drop goal. David Manson's hand goes up. And that is the ball game.
The scoreline probably doesn't reflect it, but we actually beat them comfortably. And then the following week we went down to the Roosters, played against the Roosters, a red-hot Roosters side, and held our gloves up for a large part of that game, and then just the class of Fittler and co took over. But in '98 it was a tough year. We lost a few players. It was all the clubs came back together, and it was then the newly formed NRL, and we thought we were going to go really well. I remember Marcus Bai leaving us after the finals to go to Melbourne. We went, why would you go to Melbourne for? What are they going to do? They won a comp in '99, but
Miles gets over for the Gold Coast. Slips a beauty. Nah, he goes over for the Gold Coast. Mackay, the skipper, will jog across. Richie Allen has speed to burn. He promotes the ball further, and Hudson gets across. And Hudson gets a beauty, and the crowd, they cheer.
There was conversation during 1997 that the Hunter Mariners, who played in the Super League, would come and merge with the Gold Coast Chargers. They would just make the Hunter Mariners defunct, and a lot of their players, it was Robbie Ross, there was John Carlaw, Scott Hill, Brett Camorley, and for some reason the Gold Coast Chargers, because we'd made the finals, the board said, no, we don't need them, we're going to go alone. So all those players went to the Melbourne Storm and they won a comp in 1999. So it's one of those what-if moments. What would Gold Coast Rugby League look like today? Would we have the Titans, or would it still be the Gold Coast Chargers if that would have happened? Because I think success would have followed. During '98, I got told by a good mate of mine at the Rugby League Week that the Gold Coast Chargers were going to be kicked out of the competition, along with some other clubs, Adelaide Rams and co. And so when I had the opportunity to go to Penrith, I made that decision when all my teammates were saying, no, you've got to re-sign here. And I knew the club was going to be kicked out of the competition. So I tried to educate them on the same movement, and they were all, unfortunately, had to find clubs at the last moment. But in saying that, when I went down to Penrith, I'd still come home and at times and realise that there was still this great love of rugby league, and a lot of people were going up the road to the Brisbane Broncos to support the Bronx. And at the time they were winning comps and playing in grand finals and finishing in the top four. And what it did actually do is it actually built, the success of the Broncos built a greater hunger for rugby league on the Gold Coast. It was always bubbling under the surface, but then the NRL bid team was formed and started hosting games, trials on the Gold Coast. And you could see the crowds that were turning up to those games. And when I retired and had the opportunity to come back and help the NRL bid team get a team in the competition, you could just see that the hunger had never disappeared. They just still had a really good core group of supporters that wanted to support something here on the Gold Coast. So when we went into that process, and it was between us and the Central Coast through John Singleton, who had a lot more money than us. But I think just based on the junior pathway and the demographic as well, how farly spread the Gold Coast was, all the way down to sort of Coffs Harbour at that point, up to Logan, and then west of the scenic rim, it showed to the NRL back then that if they're going to be able to palm off AFL from being a one-team town and no other code challenging it, would have been a black mark on rugby league if they allowed that to happen and went the other way. So we're glad it went our way. I think it's really important that we celebrate the past. Whether there's success or not, it's where your foundations come from. Rugby league came from blue-collar workers. Rugby league came from people working really hard to get the game to where it is today, and success will come.
Price has gone straight through.
Here goes Wes Patton. Oh, they're not going to stop the little bloke. Wes Patton. Superb play. Anderson is over the 40. He picks off Patton on the inside. He gets the pass away to Hurst.
This is a sensational time from the Chargers. Supporters there in Chris Orr. Hubbard has turned around. The floating pass. Dwyer is off for the corner. Too much speed. Dwyer scores. Is he going to put the foot down? He passes this time. Quick hands. That's great work by the Chargers. Marcus Bai scores down in the centres. An offload for Mackay. Mackay steps straight through the O'Mara tackle. Clark sets it up. And the skipper gets his name on the scoreboard. 16-0.